Welcome to Black Belt Beauty Radio, a podcast fueled by a passion to support your journey in developing your most beautiful and optimal performance in life. Each episode is driven with the intention to elevate your mind. When we elevate our mind, we elevate our life. So get ready. It's time to rise. And we're live. No, I'm just kidding. Hi again.
Hey.
Eben. Well, thank you officially. I'm so excited. It's interesting. I know I can drop in deep with you right out the gate. So I'm just going to do that. And the first place that I want to start with you is actually playing you the very first clip that I heard of you. And it was a while ago on the Model House Show, your boy Sean, who's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and he's so good. That episode, honestly, for everybody listening, they need to go listen to it, watch it. It was so good. And it hit my heart so deeply in a very intimate way because I was like, well, I'll tell you after I play the clip.
Okay.
I was literally my best friend, Carrie Walsh Jennings. I believe you guys have just connected.
Yeah.
I was like, Carrie, listen to this. What the fuck? Scott, do you want to play that clip? It's part of the clip, actually. It's not the whole clip.
I love it. In today's day and age with social media culture and this branding of enlightenment that's so bizarre because spirituality is so beyond putting it in a box or any kind of container. Because everyone wants to say, this is the way. This is the answer. I've got it. You know? And the truth of the matter is, you are the way.
Mm-hmm. Come on. Yeah.
You are the way.
Okay, so that was the smaller version of it. But now let me share with you why that was really extra special for me. Number one, it's kind of twofold. So I'm very particular about words. I've been a writer my whole life. In my opinion, words are an experience. And I always say that words cast spells. And
1000%.
Right? I'm going to tear into that with you. The word spiritual is really interesting to me because I really love the actual word. But an observation of mine, which may sound judgmental, but that's okay. I've observed that there's more of this kind of costume around spirituality, such that it kind of put a little bit of separation between me and that word. In the sense of like where I'm like, it's too deep, man. You can't fucking label this shit. Like, and the minute you do, you've created a separation from the actual integration that is this thing called spirituality. So that was one aspect of it. The other part of that clip was that, and I didn't bring it, but I just put out, it was a 4-year project, a self-actualization guided and illustrated journal called The title of it is called You Are the Path. And so when you said, what you said in that clip, like the path is you, I was like, I stopped everything. I was like, it just showed me, it told me where you live within yourself. It told me a lot about you. And so from that clip on, I was hooked. Got your awesome book. Congratulations on that. And every fucking clip, man, that I've ever taken in from you since then, it's pure fire. And I mean that with all my heart and soul. So now I'm passing you the mic and I'm going to do this a lot. Just throw you shit and like let you run with it because you just need to speak.
Thank you, Roxy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That means a lot to me. And when you hit me up, I started checking your stuff out, and I think I followed you right away because you and your message just resonated with me in that vein of. I was having this conversation earlier today because I have a guy who just cuts my clips, and he's a master of it because he gets me and he just understands what I'm doing, and he's on the wave himself. And he's about 24. Shout out to Jarrett. You should check out his podcast too, Soul of Jarrett. But he just really gets it. And by the time, I told you I haven't been feeling well. I'm like super mild with something happening inside of me. I don't know what it is. Call it, I guess in the modern day, we'd call it be feeling sick. But now for me, every physical ailment that I experience is some sort of spiritual happening going on. It's my physical body calling to attention, something going on psychologically, emotionally for me that I need to become aware of, or that I can step more deeply into. And he cut a clip last night of me just talking about people's energy and how the words that we use, talking about words as casting spells, when someone's speaking to you and they're using certain words, yet their energy is telling you a different story, learning to become mindful of that and observing that, being able to see that when that's occurring. Of course, there's like a truck backing up out there. And I was watching it and I was thinking to myself, I was laughing because I thought sometimes it's so bizarre to me to think about how the path that I've walked and how I've gotten here, playing football, all this stuff to get to this point where I just find myself talking on these podcasts about tuning into yourself. And that's truly my message at the end of the day. You are the way. And it continues to be more and more so all the time. And I was watching this clip and I was going, for me, it's so easy to slip into, and one of my favorite books of all time, it's Here Now Are You by Bhagavan Das, who is the guy who brought Ram Dass to meet Neem Karoli Baba, his guru in India. And I highly recommend it. And he talks about one of the most treacherous paths to walk is the path of the guru, because the ego loves that path. The ego loves to take on this superiority role. Like, I know everything. I'm the answer. I need followers. I need worshipers. The more recognition I can get in who I am and what I do, the better off I am, the more validated I am, the more worthy I am, the more superior I am. And there's a lot of that. Going back to your initial comment of the word spirituality, there's a ton of people walking around going, I'm really spiritual, and they do the ayahuasca and they're doing the stuff and they're, going in. And I think all that's great. I've done a lot of it. I've done a lot of plant medicine. I've done a lot of stuff, a lot of modalities, physical, mental, emotional, digging, healing, reconfiguring, remembering, all sorts of stuff. And it's been a necessary part of my process to get to where I am now. But all of that stuff was pointing me back to center. All of it, the whole way, was just pointing me back to who I truly am underneath it all, underneath the chaos. For me as a young man coming of age in this time, wherever we are, 2000s, but I was born in 87, grew up through the 90s, started really stepping into my journey in high school, I would say. I mean, childhood is, if you're afforded the blessing of a true childhood is just play to immerse yourself in the joy of life. Not many of us get to have that experience. I didn't either. My childhood was very chaotic and dark and heavy and hard. And I had to take a lot, I believed I had to take a lot of people and weight on my shoulders. And that was really important for me in my own learning experience. and playing football and
Mm-hmm.
my family disease of alcoholism and coming to terms with that, substance abuse, depression, anxiety. My whole idea as a man was to be as big and powerful and successful and scary and revered and respected as I possibly could be. I thought that was the honorable path, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yet for much of that time, I was abandoning myself. Throughout. And truly only until about, it happens in stages,
Mm-hmm.
happens moment to moment. It's a really long process. It's been that way for me, this long trickle process to get here where I'm at, where, I'm feeling not well. I feel heavy. I feel lethargic. I feel tired. I feel achy. I don't feel my best. Maybe instead of running around to get all the things done that I think I have to get done, maybe I'll just go lay down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's amazing because my wife of 8 years, now my ex-wife, we decided to separate and get a divorce in January. And it's been truly a miraculous experience in how much love and compassion we've had for one another going through this process. There were some hard years where we were really just tearing each other apart, for lack of a better way to explain it, just to distill it down to a sentence. And, it has not been easy at all, even with the love and compassion and amicability. But this time has forced me, for instance, driving to do that podcast with Sean.
Mm-hmm.
That was sometime in mid-March, late March, early April. I'd been living at my mother's house. I moved out of my house, moved in with my mom. I'm making my way through this uncoupling, untangling, detaching from this really long relationship. We have a 10-year-old daughter, 2 beautiful dogs, beautiful home. And I was driving to that podcast and feeling so much inside. And my mom calls me. And she's like, "Eb, how you doing?" And I just burst into tears. I'm driving down the 101 and I'm just sobbing. And I had to pull over and just cry for like 25 minutes on my way to that podcast.
Wow.
And my mom was just like, "Eb, sounds like you're really just in the grief."
Mm.
And I was like, God, it's amazing how I could be grieving something that it feels like a relief to be free from, this really like just heavy and hard relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I love her so much. Like, God bless her. My ex-wife is a brilliant woman, super inspiring, powerful, great mother. Amazing. But it had felt like a relief. And I think she would probably say the same. I think she would say the same. I believe she would say the same, that it felt like a relief to let each other go and to be free. And I was like, I didn't realize I could grieve something like that and feel all of this stuff, But then my rational mind would come in and say, "Eb, you've been together 12 years. There's so much intracellular unraveling that needs to happen here."
Yeah.
There's so many moments. She'd been with me through some really dark, heavy times, trips to the hospital. I probably almost died a handful of times during my football career, hospitalized with dehydration, a ruptured appendix, an infection in my spine, like all sorts of things that she was there for, and we were together through. And so on that day, going to that podcast to do that show with Sean, I made the decision, I need a break.
Yeah.
The overwhelm that I'm feeling is not going to be remedied by doing more shit.
Mm-mm.
You know, and at that time, I've got my podcast, I'm doing coaching, I'm doing individual coaching, corporate coaching. You know, I'm running myself ragged to prove my worth to the world, to validate myself to myself.
Yeah.
You know, forget about the world, because at the end of the day, it was like, but when am I going to be enough for me?
Mm.
When do I get to be enough for myself?
Yeah.
Because that's all that matters. No one's holding a gun to your head going, you have to do this in order to be free, in order to be proven, in order to be authenticated. No, it's just you.
Yeah.
It's you and you. You're in there. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I do. I really do.
Know you know. I know you know. And that was a super, you know, this year has been a year of miracles for me, you know, of learning how to listen to myself.
Mm.
And so, and the mind blower is, in all of my egos screaming and yelling and kicking and fighting, that, Eb, if you stop doing the podcast, you're going to be a total failure. Eb, if you stop taking all the business opportunity calls, you're going to be a complete failure. Eb, if you stop and take care of yourself here, how the fuck are you going to make money? How are you going to be anything? How are you going to do anything? And whatever it's been, because it hasn't been easy, but I'm in this place, I believe primarily because of the daily practices that I've cultivated for myself over the last 5 or 6 years, meditating every day, doing yoga, clearing out this physical vessel, making myself as clear and clean as I possibly can be, taking time to get still and quiet. I've afforded myself this opportunity to just observe what happens and not react out of that place, not react out of the conjured mind chaos that inevitably comes, that perhaps one day will be completely silenced. But until then, that's the practice. And that's why we call it a practice, because every time, it's not going anywhere, dude. You're not getting away from yourself. As much as we want to try, I've tried really hard to run away from myself, and he just keeps showing up.
He's tapping your other shoulder, like, over here, over
hey,
here.
Dude, we're still here. Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
I didn't get away yet. Okay. You know, and so through all of that mind chaos of, Eb, you got to do this. Eb, you got to keep it going. You got to, and I just don't. The universe has brought me the most incredible, aligned opportunities that I could have ever possibly imagined and dreamed of. For instance, I had this production company come seemingly out of the ether. You know, it's like, how did this opportunity even come about? I end up going to lunch with my assistant, Noah, who someone in your team's probably been in contact with, who handles like all of my administrative scheduling and helps with all sorts of things. Going to lunch with him and his dad, and there's a guy who runs a production company at this lunch who says, Eb, I want to produce your podcast. and they stream on Apple TV, and it's called Altered TV. And it's just like this huge opportunity that's literally the exact thing that I needed to keep my podcast going and to take it to the next level, you know?
So awesome.
Yeah. And it's just, I couldn't have done that if I tried.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't have made that happen if I tried. I wouldn't even know really where to look. I mean, I know people who are in production who do various things, but that I was stuck in, I've got to do it all myself.
Yeah.
And then here comes this opportunity of people who are like, Eb, we want to produce it, shoot it, distribute it, pay you as talent and producer, you know, give you a studio to record in, whatever you can dream it to be, we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
You know?
That is, well, congratulations. That's so
you.
Exciting for all of us in the world too. Honestly, literally.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting, and it's revelatory. And there's been a handful of other things like that, opportunities to do events and being called to do more events and teaching. I love to teach, you know, I love teaching yoga and breath work and mindfulness and just being with people. I love connecting with people because to me, it's about letting everybody know you are the answer, dude. Like, you have everything inside of you that you will ever need to be the greatest version of yourself that you can possibly be. And there are some practices, there are some ways to peel back the layers to get down to the core essence of who you are. Mm-hmm. And that's also different for everybody, you know, because I can find myself going, oh, well, you got to do breath work, you got to do meditation. I don't know. If you're super anchored in who you are and your truth, and you wake up every morning and you're just willing to follow that inner sense wherever it takes you.
Yeah.
Living mindfully is about the best thing we could possibly do to live in our highest greatness, live in our divine truth of what's happening inside of us.
Yeah. Yeah, those are just pathways and channels to support you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, no, please. Oh.
No, go ahead.
No, well, no.
I don't know
I'm
where
like,
I'm going.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll jump in and just say, you know, I mean, everything you shared, there's so many pieces of that in that to tease out. But one of the main things that I love about everything you share, everything you just shared, but just truly like every clip I've ever heard of you is, it's so clear to me that you live from your heart. And so for me, how I frame, you know, this is like my poetic writer part of me, but
do it, Roxy. I love that.
So the authentic self is where the heart, your authentic self is in your heart. It's also the voice of your intuition. It's the voice of your highest self. It's where, to me, I feel like your heart is your home to your ultimate self, your highest frequency, and essentially it is your North Star. It's like it's your ultimate, you know, the kind of what's going to lead you to the greatest fulfillment that you can attain in your life, right? Your mind is interesting. I view the mind as like the devoted architect to the queen that is the heart, right? So you're so sweet. I'm getting so poetic, but I'll keep it simple.
No, I totally vibe with that. So keep going. I love this.
You're speaking the language. Okay. So, so for me, because here's the thing in my life, I'm in my 40s, 44. And I also had an upbringing that, you know, my childhood, there was a lot of hardship there. You know, I have 3 brothers, sister, fucking awesome family. Mom's a legend. Just so many. There are a lot of challenges that forged us to be who we are today and to live very powerfully. I say powerfully because we do live with strength and resilience. My entire life, I can honestly look back and say, okay, you have truly been living from your heart. It has not created an easy life for you because either way, if you're not staying true to your heart, you're going to face pain, you're going to face discomfort, whether you realize it in the immediate or not. It could be a slow fucking process, like a pebble in your shoe that becomes debilitating because all of a sudden later in life, you're like, who the fuck am I? And what have I been living? Versus if you do stay devoted to your heart, operating from this, truth, well, you're going to let people down. There's going to be pain. There's going to be rejection. So either you're not escaping the pain or the discomfort,
No.
right? So you just get to choose. And I have truly, I'm telling you this with all my heart and soul, and I have fucking journals, like 3 decades worth to prove, like I have lived from this voice inside my heart. Going back to my poetic little, the mind is the architect. The goal is.
I love that. I love that analogy, honestly. The best I've heard.
Oh, thank you. I receive. The goal is to let the queen lead and your mind, so it's like the masculine is the mind, the feminine is the heart. Let her lead, and the mind puts shit in action. The mind is actually what makes, so she says, hey, go this way. Like in your case, let's bring it back to you. When you're getting the messages, the cues, the signals to slow the fuck down, to stop, to just take a moment, surrender. That's your heart telling you like, hey, this is what you need to do right now. The mind, if the mind isn't in check, the mind will be like, what are you talking about? No, we don't. We need to fucking keep going. If we don't do this, we're going to, right? And what you did is you put the fucking mind in check. You're like, hey, listen, thank you, but no thank you. You're gonna fucking take a back seat right now. You're gonna listen to me. And I feel that anytime we are operating from our heart, from our authentic self, from the voice of our intuition, that is when we are most synthesized with the universe and the highest frequency of our self, our potential. And that is when these radical opportunities and, just like really fulfilling experiences, they have a stronger pathway to come and meet you because you're not fucking gripping and trying to, just be all heady and produce from that point. You're listening, and that shit's hard. What you did is hard. It's hard to fucking surrender, and it's hard to let go and to trust. It was a long rant.
I think it's the hardest thing. No, it was so good. I think it's the hardest thing you could possibly do. And everything you said brought up a lot for me. It's interesting. There's that saying in food, like with food, with taking care of your physical health. I think it's pay the farmer now or the doctor later. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with like following your mind or your heart or letting your mind because, you can think about how many people in the world are taking the logical path. Always. They get a good job, pays well, they live a comfortable life. That doesn't mean you're going to be fulfilled or content or living a life of joy and love. Like those two things don't equate. And inevitably, to some degree, at some point on that journey, you're going to end up having to take steps that fulfill your heart, that fulfill your heart's desires. Also, you think about this has been measured scientifically about I think it's an electromagnetic field. The electromagnetic field that your heart generates is 100 times greater than the electromagnetic field that your mind generates.
Yeah.
And so when you start talking about your heart center being the voice of your higher self, of your intuition, I mean, on a quantum level, that's true. That's real. That's scientifically accurate. Yeah. I also love the idea of the mind as the architect, because I think even in my own evolution and talking about this stuff, I have fallen into repeating the idea of getting out of your mind and into your heart. While that's true, your mind is still this immensely powerful tool beyond imagination. And anything, for instance, a clip just came out because I was talking about this on a podcast earlier this weekend, but those spontaneous thoughts, ideas, moments of inspiration, realization that billow up from your heart or billow up out of nowhere, you need your mind, like you were saying, to get into action and to take the step to actualize that heart desire or that heart calling.
Yeah.
Like you said, we get into a lot of trouble. And one of my favorite guys of all time, Ram Dass, speaks on this frequently, says this frequently. The mind is a wonderful servant, but a tyrannical master. And so your mind will just totally keep you really small and contained.
Yeah. Yeah, I see the mind as, you know how I said the heart is the feminine, the mind is the masculine. And in my world,
it's an interesting, I think that's an interesting
way to put
depiction of it. Yeah.
Well, here's the other part that goes with it. The mind is the doing and the heart is the being. And both, you know, the masculine, the feminine, the being and the doing, this is nature. We need both. This is, one doesn't, trump the other. It's that unity, you know, and I remember coming to this in my writing literally decades ago where I'm like, there's no competition between the mind and the heart.
Right.
They're the ultimate team, you know, and
ultimate team.
You want to get to a place where, first of all, you understand that concept, because here's the thing, and I'd love for you to speak on this. You know, we've been groomed to look down on the heart. Don't listen to your heart. You know what I mean? Like it's all, you know, like the heart is weak. We've also been groomed to look outside there. Just keep going there. Build your business. Get your degree. Go into the relationships, finance. We have not been directed to go into self, you know, to go in. And it's one of the greatest things about, you know, being a writer and, you know, I'm sure, it's always brought me inward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Writing is such a powerful tool. It's been absolutely transformative for me over the years.
I love that you wrote a book. I mean, how did that feel? Because I mean this, your book it's so wonderful. I love that we get to learn about, you know, pieces of your journey. You're very vulnerable and just, I mean, needless to say, authentic. It's just felt throughout the whole book. I also love, just from a writer's perspective, when you really get in the details to bring the reader into, you know, the backyard where you're doing your breath work and taking in nature and connecting. Like, I feel it, right? Then that's your writing. And then, of course, the incredible tools, you know, that you share is these practices that can help an individual just, you know, come home to self, feel better in body, and then, you know, move through life in this more kind of whole, you know, optimal state. But yeah, talk to me about, because I know in the book you mentioned that you've always loved writing. You even went to school and, you know, there was a focus on writing, but then your career as an NFL player, but then you come back to writing a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think exactly what you said. Writing has always been this thing that's brought me back in the center. You know, it's put me in touch with myself. And it's enabled me to unpack the things that are happening inside of me in a very objective way so that I can see what's true and what's not, what's ego-centered and what's heart-centered, and learning how to discern between the two. I think wherever you're at, whoever you are, if you're compelled to study yourself or get to know yourself better, start journaling. Start meditating and start journaling. It's always been massively therapeutic for me. It's always been an unbelievably powerful way for me to learn about the truth of myself, like I said, and discerning what's true and what's fiction. Because we walk through life for a long time. We walk through life holding this identity over ourselves. This very specific identity of who we are, what we do, what it's supposed to look like, right and wrong, black and white. It's got to be this, can't be that. If it's that, I'm fucked. Can't be like that. Got to be like this. If it doesn't work out, I'm fucking destroyed, and it's just not real. That's not real. That's all an illusion. There's infinite possibilities. And I think one of the blessings of whatever it is I've done, I can't really tell you. It's just been a daily commitment to getting back to center over and over again and peeling back the layers. And it's looked really ugly. It's looked like shit at times. It's been really difficult, really painful. It has not been easy at all. Like you said, it's a courageous one to follow your heart. It's a courageous journey. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of gentleness, because you're your heaviest, hardest critic, and whether you know it or not. Mm-hmm. How many times a day does just a thought or something occur, you speak a word, take an action, do something that you're then beating yourself up for it for the next 24 hours, week, month, year, lifetime.
Yeah. I call self-compassion a fucking high performance tool, because it gives you space to be human, and to stop, to back the fuck off yourself, allow yourself to learn. Made a mistake. Okay, cool. What can we do? How do we learn? Hard shit. You're going through hard shit. Do you need to be harder on yourself already? So carry on. Sorry, I had to, but it's so true. It's supporting what you're sharing.
The most radically transformative thing I have done in my life is learning how to love myself. The most radically transformative action I've taken.
What does it look like for you, self-love? What is that in your day-to-day life, by way of that? Maybe it's, actually, I don't want to give it. What does it look like? Your version of self-love.
You don't want to give me too much you don't want to give me too much.
I could have served you something right there, but I'm like, no, I want it straight from you.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Well, it's interesting going back to our cultural conditioning, family, friends, school, society, TV, advertising, movies. All of this is conditioning us to think and feel and be a certain way. And when you start, I've seen it in clips that I've posted. I keep saying that you started off with the clip.
It's all good. Bring in the clips.
It's really an interesting. I was thinking about this the other day. Social media is a place where you really see where people are at.
Yeah.
To me, where I'm at now, if someone's full of shit, I see it crystal clear. Mm-hmm. If someone's real and authentic and in their fucking anchored in their feet, you can see it.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had some clips posted where I'm talking about self-love. I believe truly we've moved into this age of love. And people are like, there's wars, there's hunger, there's all this. It's a fucking nightmare, man. The world is fucked. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's true. That is true. But when you think about collectively where we're at and what I'm seeing and the people around me, my immediate community, friends, family, the place I live, the yoga studio I go to and teach at, the greater soul tribe that I'm coming into contact with at events and other things that I go to, and then seeing sort of the collective unfolding through social media, which I think it's an incredible container of consciousness unfolding in front of us. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, all of it is happening right there. And you can just see it.
Yeah.
Doing it the hard way is not working anymore. Doing it the way of violence, will, making it happen, pushing yourself to the limit and over the edge to be successful, whatever, it's destroying people. And so what I mean when I say it appears to me as though we're moving into the age of love, which if you look at the yugas and the yogic like grand calendar of all of the history of the universe, we've moved through the Kali Yuga, and then we're moving back into the Sat Yuga or something like that. So the Kali Yuga is like the age of chaos and death and darkness. And we've just moved through that. And we're moving back into this age of love and light. And I've noticed it in myself in my own life, because doing it the hard way, I'm not feeling well, but I still have X, Y, and Z to get done today. You know, I'm moving into a new apartment. I need to get rugs. Fuck. Like, when am I going to go get a rug? You know, I had a call earlier, and I was going to run and try to look at rugs before our podcast. And after my first call, I was like, you know, I feel fucking tired and heavy and worn out. I'm just going to go lie down before this podcast. And I did that. And it was perfect, you know, because I came in here, I have energy, I'm inspired, I'm excited to be here. And then your energy is fantastic. So I feed off of that. And now we get to have a great conversation. And every time in my life now, when I try to go it the hard way, I just get fucking body slammed by the universe. You know, I just get fucking body slammed. The universe is like, no, man, sit the fuck down. Do less. Take it slow.
Yeah.
You don't have to do so much. So then when you ask me more specifically, what does the loving myself look like? It's every time something arises, I'm triggered, I feel anger, I feel shame, I feel not worthy. I just let that feeling be there. And I imagine myself as a little boy. I imagine myself as a little boy. And I just love myself. I hug myself. Say, it's okay, man. It's okay. It's okay to be angry. It's valid for you to be angry, actually. For a long time, I beat myself up for being angry. Especially when I started healing and getting on the spiritual path. I'd be like, Ed, you're fucking spiritual. Why the fuck are you angry?
You're just fucking
judging. Because I'm a human being. Yeah. I'm a fucking human being.
Right.
And yeah, that pissed me off. That's okay. That's okay.
Yep.
I do a lot of hot yoga, Bikram. style yoga, 26 and 2. I think been the most transformative modality that I've ever done. It's the most psychedelic experience of anything I've ever done. Ayahuasca, mushrooms, LSD. Nothing puts you in confrontation with yourself like stepping into a 105-degree room with 50% humidity and you're doing the same 26 fucking postures and you're just put to the test of who you are and where you're at. And you can't go anywhere.
There you are.
You can't go anywhere. So it's like, well, I have to just be with myself. And it's really hard to be in there and to be in complete conflict with yourself and not be able to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you can do is surrender to where you're at. That's all you can do because you're so fucking hot. You feel like you're going to die. You're really lucky when you're in that room and you get to that place where you actually believe I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And then you just lay there, you keep breathing. And all of a sudden you pass through this corridor and you're into this unimaginable bliss and you did nothing. You just sat with it. And I've been in that room and it's really been a practice to when I'm feeling that, whatever it is comes up, rage,
mm-hmm.
anxiety, shame, guilt, just utter suffering. And then to really intentionally practice loving whatever sensation comes up. Love it, man. Don't run away.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell yourself it's supposed to be different. Don't fucking try to escape. We've got a million ways to escape nowadays. What if you just be with that thing and you love it because it's you and you love that thing? All of a sudden, love is like this fucking wave that just washes everything away. And what you realize when you commit to this, and it's a process, a lot of people might hear this. You might see this clip one day and they go, yeah, man, but that shit doesn't fucking work. Yeah, it doesn't work one time. You do it every fucking moment. Every time something comes up because you're committed to it. You're committed to being different. You're committed to transforming yourself, being the greatest version of yourself that you can possibly be. And when you start to love yourself, no matter what comes up, all you have is love for the outside world. No matter what it is, you come into contact with difficult people every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You come into contact with challenging situations, adversity every single day. What if you now, little by little, you cultivate the capacity to be in compassion in all of those situations, which makes you less reactive, which gives you the opportunity to respond in a way that doesn't feed the chaos, feed the suffering. If somebody comes at you and they say, it's your fucking fault, you fucking did this, X, Y, Z, fuck you, how could you do that? You're a fucking asshole, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Immediately, your ego, your persona in that relationship, in that situation, goes into a defense mode.
Yeah.
You want to lash back out, prove them wrong, show them that they're the asshole, fuck them, you're not right, I'm right, you're wrong, et cetera, et cetera. What does that do? That keeps you in that adversarial relationship.
Yeah.
Because now you've validated everything they've said. In their world, you have validated being an asshole.
Sure.
Because you continue not to hear them and acknowledge them and understand, be compassionate with where they're at, where they're coming from. Now, this is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
This is the most difficult task you could possibly take on in your lifetime, is not reacting with that. Mm-hmm. You don't have to react. You don't have to. Right then, there's no reason that you can't just take a breather, say, thank you for saying that, take a walk, go somewhere. On fire, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Get out of that space. Mm-hmm. Totally hot inside, ready to fucking explode. You probably will feel like that. Mm-hmm. But take a moment. Let it happen. Some of the best tools in a situation like that, I'm giving you.
Yeah, all of it. Bring sense.
It. Call up somebody that you really trust and love. Mm-hmm. Vent to them. Say everything you wanted to say to that person, say it to them and let them hear it. Someone you really trust, who you know you can vent to, who you know has no opinion on the situation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Then that brings you down. That releases some of the pressure from the cooker. Mm-hmm. Then figure out, what the fuck do you really need? What do you need in this situation? For me, a lot of times, what do I need here? Okay. I need to set a boundary. I need to express how that made me feel. Perhaps, and this is moment to moment, situation to situation, maybe you need to make an amends. Mm-hmm. Maybe you need to acknowledge what that person said, take accountability for something you did that hurt them or made them feel the way that ignited this explosion. Mm-hmm. Say, you know what? I apologize for doing that to you. I recognize that my words, actions, whatever it was, hurt you, and that was not my intention. My boundary, or what I need to express to you, is I would love it if you could have expressed that to me in a way that wasn't so hurtful.
Yeah.
Because I see you, I hear you, I understand where you're coming from. Right there, you just dissolved that adversarial, that nose-to-nose positioning.
Yeah.
And you help that person recognize that, hey, this person, and usually stuff like this is with your loved ones. Mm-hmm. This is with your closest friends. This is with someone that you probably spend a lot of time with.
Yeah.
And you put yourselves back in that position of, hey, we're on the same team, dude. I love you. I care about you. I made a mistake. I apologize. Here's my boundary. I would like it if the next time I hurt you, or whatever it is, or whatever happens, that we can just talk about it, because it's really hurtful what you said. And usually those types of reactions come with a lot of generalizations, or mm-hmm. a lot of, painful things that get said.
Yeah.
That probably weren't necessary. Dramatizations, whatever it is.
Yeah. So true. Yeah.
But that is only possible when you start to love yourself first.
And I fucking love everything you just shared. I also want to highlight something that is, to me, very present within you. And it's really, I think, it's the starting point to even learning how to love yourself, and to be in this really higher state of emotional intelligence. And that is self-awareness. Self-awareness is what's going to, like I said, just it because if you're not operating with active levels of self-awareness, I mean, you're not conscious of self. You're not, and I'm not talking about, looking at yourself with judgment. It's just being in observation of self, right? And making that a constant practice. I think this is probably something, like you said, in your writing, right? Writing gave you many opportunities, or constant opportunities, right? To go into self and to examine and to observe and not necessarily judge, right? So you can cultivate this level of self, because there's so many people who are just not, I can't remember if it was like a clip or in your book, I think it was in your book where you were saying something about you like kind of have an issue with being the word awake or like something. Was that?
Yeah.
And I'm laughing because I'm like, I feel the same way. That's why I'm kind of hesitating to use that word. But it's just,
I know. I've done the same thing.
When I got there in the book, I'm like, God, this is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that self-awareness, I talk a lot about self-awareness because here's the thing. It's not flashy. You can't hang it on your wall. You can't fucking drive in it. You can't put it in your bank account. You're not sleeping with it. Like it's so it's a harder sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're being sold all the other shit. But it really is the number one, essential intangible attribute, an attribute that allows you to become more whole and live in your heart, allows you to develop real, strong levels of self-love, which then in I see that as the precursor to developing real self-confidence, true self-confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, what would you say about self-awareness specifically? Because like I said, it's a harder sell, but I really do believe it's something that needs to be addressed more.
What do you mean by it's a harder sell?
It's a harder sell. So advising someone to say, hey, look, ding, go.
Yeah, okay. Hey, can you be more self-aware?
Or like do this work that brings you, because we're sold like more now, faster.
Yeah.
Okay, self-awareness isn't, like you said, it's like this has just been a long continuation, a journey of your life to be where you are and, be in the space with yourself.
I think it's funny. You made me think of something that's sort of side to that, but I think of a lot of these motivational guys. And I love a lot of them. Tony Robbins, David Goggins, these guys who are really just like
drilling.
Yeah. And it's great. And it worked for me for a long time. It was really powerful for me. And I have found myself, there is a balance. I'm just curious. This is totally random and sort of off the self-awareness topic, but cool. Maybe not actually.
We'll find out.
What does it look like when that guy hits the wall? Does he ever hit the wall? Does he just power through the wall? And what happens at the end of that? Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love what David Goggins has brought to the world and his message. I think it's really powerful. And I've been talking about this a lot, actually, is especially in context to spirituality and this idea of knowing where the edge is and being able to look over the edge and see the edge. For instance, the monks that are living in the Himalayas that meditate for 20 hours a day in complete quiet stillness, and they cultivate this unimaginable sense of clarity, peace, serenity inside themselves. Yet that's not useful for your modern day American at all. But what is useful about that is to see where you can go when you dedicate yourself to a meditation practice or a yoga practice. How much mindfulness and stillness, self-awareness can you cultivate in yourself and live in the high-speed capitalistic economy that we live in? I think capitalism is great. Mm-hmm. We've just gone wrong with corporatism, But so like striving to achieve your dreams, I think that's what a gift, what an immense gift of Western culture to have that. But so like with David Goggins, knowing like, where is the edge when you push yourself through the discomfort over and over again. I'm going to move inside really quick because this fucking guy's doing his thing.
I love it.
I don't even have a couch yet. It's perfect.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh yeah, totally.
No rug, no couch.
Super fun. So it's useful to know where the edge is and to be able to look over the edge and go, these are the possibilities. This is the possibility of what I can achieve if I commit myself to a practice, if I'm super disciplined and I exercise that. So for me, a lot of times the people that need to become more self-aware, you can't go in the front door. That's why I believe it's super useful to say, hey, meditation is a super great thing to do. Maybe you should try it. Mm. Hey, dedicating 30 minutes to an hour of your day every day to take a long walk, get still, be quiet, be alone, put your phone down, go step into nature, connect with yourself, disconnect from the world. Super valuable. Doing yoga, doing something that I use yoga because that's my drug of
I'm
choice.
with you. Yes.
You know?
Oh yeah, I'm same. Hot yoga, the whole fucking practice, same. I'm just, Yeah.
And there is a metaphysical happening when you're in those postures that's different from, say, going and lifting weights or going for a run or whatever it is, because you're actually putting your body into a position that ignites all of these hormones, your serotonin, your dopamine, your tryptophan. It reorganizes your nervous system, gets you out of the amygdala. And there's actual, like, that's scientific. It's the yogic science. Yoga is a science.
Yeah.
So, but, hey, somebody's like, I meet guys all the time, dude, I can't do yoga. I'm not flexible. I'm like, bro, neither am I. It has nothing to do with flexibility. I mean, yeah, am I more flexible than the average 6'6" former pro football player? Yeah, for sure. But it didn't start out that way. It's taken a lot of time and work to get to that place.
Sure.
But yoga has nothing to do with flexibility. Yoga is all about durability, resilience, connecting with yourself, unifying yourself, mental, physical, emotional. It's yoga is union. You know this, Roxy. So there are all of these side doors and back alley entrances to get to self-awareness. And so even in the food.
Yes.
Hey, man, look at what you eat. Think about what you eat. You don't feel good? The first thing, the foundational element of you feeling good, feeling clear, feeling like you have any energy, willpower to move through your day is to look at what food you're eating. And that starts to cultivate some self-awareness. That starts to cultivate this inner knowing of who you are and what's going on underneath the surface. I was thinking about this earlier today. I think about it a lot. I mean, the difference between me 5 years ago and me today is like light years. It's light years. And the difference really being where my focus was. My focus back then was on so much of the external stuff. What am I going to do? Who am I going to be?
Yeah.
How am I going to make money?
Yeah.
World, my life is fucked if I can't make ends meet, if I can't do this, if I can't do that, if I can't keep them happy, if I can't do this, I won't be happy. And the difference now is I don't look at any of that stuff. I just look at this right here. Where am I at? Am I in alignment with what's happening inside of me? Mm. And then somehow, miraculously, the universe, God, takes care of the rest, you know? And going way back to the first thing you said almost about the word spirituality, once again, we want to put spirituality in this box that's over here or somewhere.
Outside.
But the spirituality is all of this. It's the physical, the mental, the emotional coming into one. Mm. That's the spiritual experience. You know, that's spirituality in action. That's the spiritual dimension happening right in front of you. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. So I feel, I believe that there is no separation. We are the universe. The universe is us. And it's just that, like, for example, I see it as I have the opportunity in this one life that I'm living to express the universe through my unique voice, my unique frequency, my unique essence, my unique heart, right? We all do. I'm just using myself as the example.
Yes.
Right? And when we start to separate or see ourselves as separate, I think that's where things get, there's tension and friction and maybe even illness and things. But the more that we stay rooted in that, I mean, everyone's going to, look, I'm never here to tell anybody what to think or what to teach. I'm just inviting ideas and concepts, perhaps strategies, tactics, because I can truly say to you that I live in a deep state of wholeness with myself. I love myself. I respect myself. I have a very deep relationship with, I call her my muse. She's also called the woman in the mirror. She's also called my highest self, my future self, but she's the highest expression of me. And every day in meditation, we're in conversation. So my meditation is not quiet. It's very, it's deep. But I feel,
I understand.
I'm sure you, I believe you. But yeah, that's my take is so when you say, like, does it make sense? It makes so much sense to me. And I think, what feels so good, Eben, for me about this is like, look, I'm a path creator. I am constantly put on my fucking knees in my life because, by the way, like I'm reaching for it. I have a whole tagline. It's really like, seek the fight. It's like, look, I'm in the arena and I'm going for it. I'm here to express myself. And that means I'm inviting fucking challenge. And so, the best part about having this unbreakable relationship with me and my highest self, and really, this integration with the universe, this conscious integration with the universe, is that as I move through my life and I'm on my knees and I'm facing these challenges, number one, I'm never alone. I'm always with myself. In my writing, I'm always capitalizing self for a reason. Number two, I can move through the challenges with an entirely different, it's just a different energy because I'm not doing it just on my own. Like, I'm with me, I'm on my team. And with the universe as well, like that whole, it's this whole fucking package, man. And it feels different. So I guess what I'm essentially trying to say is like, look, I'm not saying that coming into this state of wholeness and this relationship with yourself avoids challenge. And you don't want to avoid challenge. Like you need the friction to fucking fortify, right? But you do want to be on your team and you do want to feel unity. And going back to, a segment that where you were talking about loving yourself in every emotion, I'll just share with you, like in my own life, when when those emotions or the inner critic, like sometimes I'll just put my hand on my heart and be like, Rox, like, I fucking get it, girl. This is valid. Like, but like, come on, let's just, you know what I mean? Like, let's just take a moment.
Totally.
I feel you, but we're all right. Let's just keep it moving, So, I mean, that's what cultivating this relationship, that's one part of it, what it does. And it's priceless. to be able to have this experience in this life like this.
1,000%. 1,000%. I think that's a big misconception that people might have about loving yourself, coming into feeling whole, like healing those wounds so that you can be whole inside. Because so much of what we do is just about filling the hole, filling the God hole, all this stuff, food, sex, drugs, alcohol, job, all of it. It's like relationships. You're just like trying to fill this hole because you don't feel whole. And, and once you get to that place, I think a lot of people imagine that, then I'm not going to feel suffering anymore. I'm not going to experience challenges. And the truth is, no, challenges are always going to be there. Adversity, suffering, pain, it's all a natural part of life, but your relationship to that changes so that you're not spun out. Like you said, something occurs, whatever it is, something unforeseen, whatever it might be, all the things. There's all sorts of things that are happening that challenge us. And so instead of letting the mind run you into the ground of, holy shit, we're fucked, this is over, or life is over, what a disaster, you're able to just meet that thing with your highest self that you can muster, that's available. And you can respond accordingly. And usually it turns out that challenge was exactly what you needed to get to the next place, to get to exactly where you need to be. Because you're right here. You're right exactly where you need to be right here, right now. And constantly checking the mind, because it's a very slippery slope. The ego loves to take on the spiritual persona of, we found the answer. We made it. We're in the clear now. Here we are. We've been realized. We've ascended, all the things. And then inevitably something happens that shows you that, there's still more work to do. There's still more challenge. There's still more adversity. There's still more things happening that are out of our control, But you get to learn something about yourself, and you get to grow and expand at each and every turn. And you don't have to dip into the chaos and the death and the destruction. And you get to there's infinite possibilities, And when you decide an outcome, you're literally limiting the infinity of the universe into one little pinhole of possibility.
There's a word I think you'll love that I love, and it's possibilitarian. I am a possibilitarian.
I love that. I love that.
Good.
Because you have no idea. You have no idea the miracle that lies in front of you. When you're just open. Hey, man, that didn't work out the way we thought it was going to, but maybe that's the best thing that possibly could have happened.
Well, you, in the book, this was another point. I mean, I just put out an episode around moving through life, being flexible, being agile, so you don't become rigid. And there, you talk about flexibility in your book. And again, I'm just smiling as I'm reading this, because we're not just talking about, your mobility. We're
right.
Right. And the importance, and you just, kind of tease that a little bit, but you want to pull on that string and the importance of it, I mean.
Absolutely. I mean, flexibility is fundamental. And I think I use a quote from John Wooden that was perfect. Flexibility is the key to stability. And just being able to, you break it down, flex able. Are you able to flex and move with whatever comes at you? If you I think specifically I use, for instance, your routine and your discipline
Yep.
as a vehicle to illustrate how it's more necessary to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So you create the perfect routine regimen for yourself that makes you feel so fucking good and alive and energized, and it's exactly what you need. But then you go and you travel.
Mm-hmm.
You go somewhere, you're out of your element, you're out of your own space, and you don't have access to the things that were a part of your typical daily routine. Are you going to fall apart because you can't do your normal thing? Are you going to just go, how can I exist? I couldn't do my meditation, and I couldn't do my breath work, and I couldn't, make my coffee the way I need it to be made. And no, because then your regiment and your discipline is literally working against you.
Yeah, you're fragile.
Yeah, you're fragile, you're rigid, you can't move and you can't flex. And because the most important thing is to be in your highest state, your highest greatness, whatever comes your way, wherever you are, whenever it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, the only way to do that is to do all the things that we've been talking about. Learning how to love yourself, learning how to get quiet and be still, cultivating self-awareness. Because at the end of the day, like for me, it's just about, what do I need to do to get right here? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I do meditate, and I do breath work, and I do get exercise, and I do all these things every day. But sometimes it's not, I got to get my daughter to school at a certain time. Yeah. But I also need sleep. So
right.
Am I going to wake up at 5:30 and do my thing? Or maybe I'm just going to sleep in, enjoy my morning, take my daughter to school, and then sometime during the day, I'll get that stuff in if I really need to.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just take 3 deep breaths in the car with my daughter on the way to school and tell each other 3 things that we're grateful for.
I love that. Ultimately, they're tools to keep you open, to keep you connected, and to keep you in your most optimal state of really harmony, right? So can you get that?
Harmony
can you
is
get
a great word.
Right? I love it. It's always it's like the driving force for me. Like, what if I have to make a decision, what's going to keep me in my highest state of harmony, right? This or that, right? So you being in that example of, having that moment with your daughter and 3 deep breaths, like that will put you in an optimal state of harmony. So it doesn't, I so agree with you. And I loved how you put that in the book too, because it makes me want to send you a clip of a podcast I did. I don't know if you know Rich Diviney, but he's an incredible former Navy SEAL commander. We literally were talking about that. And I made the same fucking face as you. And I'm like, oh, you can't meditate? What, are you going to fucking fall apart? And it's part of my everyday. I'm a waker between 4 and 5 o'clock, 5:30 naturally. And, and I love my morning ritual. I use ritual instead of routine.
I love that too.
But if you got to mix it up because life is happening, that's fine, because you're not relying on these tools to feel what you need to feel. You're just activating certain feelings and pathways. You're using these tools to activate, right? But we don't want to become so reliant, like you're saying, that you become rigid, right? So
exactly.
I love that. Okay, listen, I've taken a lot of
fun.
It's so fun. Honestly, can we do a round 2?
Absolutely.
Because you're just,
The answer's yes.
Thank you. I would love. Can I close on something this is just it? I actually have a note here. This was really special. Again, all of it. So this is actually a quote from your book, but you say, "Your life is a grand opus, the most ecstatic symphony ever composed, and your only duty is to experience it to the fullest." Now, one day, this was about 7 or 8 years ago, just in my writing, downloaded what has now been a mantra, and it's on my arm, which is not a tattoo. I've been writing it every day. And I do that purposely on my arm just to like really get into the frequency. So it doesn't just become like, oh yeah, whatever. But I'll share it with you and then you'll understand why this really hit me. And then I'd love for you to just speak about that. It's written in French, but it says, I am the maestro. The universe is my orchestra and my life is my symphony. So the universe is here expanding whatever it is that I am emitting. And that is my symphony. So what does that sound like? What does that feel like? And that's all up to me. And I love that responsibility. So it just made me, when I read that quote of yours, they felt like cousins or something. It's just so beautiful.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Give you something deep to end with.
Yeah. I was really on one when I wrote that. But it's true. That's how I feel. All of it. You take it all, throw it out the window. It doesn't really matter. It's about being in harmony with yourself and living your life to the greatest extent. Whatever that means. That's different for all of us tuning into that. There are some very basic things that help get you free from the matrix, as it were. Breathing, movement, eating good food, meditation, some sort of mindfulness practice, stillness practice. Because I think that's so key right now because of technology.
Yes.
And how much access and stuff we have to look at and to lose ourselves in. So it's more important than ever to take time to be quiet and be still. At the end of the day, man, that's the truth. Like your life is a fucking symphony. Live it. Sing your fucking song. You're a super special, unique manifestation of the universe, encapsulated in this little body. And you have so much potential. It's infinite. It's mind-bogglingly profound, the power that you have inside yourself. And we get that idea came through me because, none of this is mine. It's just like you said, I'm a particle of the universe expressing the universe through myself, just being open to it. I'm not some fucking genius, But, on that note,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
so fucking good.
But it's like we've been convinced that life is misery, life is darkness, life is hard and difficult and dull and painful. And who said that? When did we start believing that? Why did we decide that? When did you decide that? Ask yourself, when did I decide that life had to be hard? And you'll go, that'll send you on a whole trip way back, somewhere in your childhood when you decided that life was supposed to be hard. And that'll give you an opportunity to seriously unravel some shit. But your life is meant to be joyous, filled with love and laughter and light and fucking immense happiness beyond anything you could possibly imagine. That's the truth. That's the truth of it.
You are the fucking truth. I love that you live your truth, right? We all have our truths, right? It is so clear that you are truly living from your truth. I'm grateful for it. I'm so grateful for your time, your energy, and really to being connected with you. I am proud to share your voice on my channels and truly looking forward to more opportunities to do so and meeting in real life. And I'm just here in full support of you. I'm so excited for these, the opportunity that you shared in this talk and any other opportunity that comes to you. Honestly, Eben, you fucking deserve it. You are proof, and it's so important. This is something that I really aspire for my own life. Like just being a path creator and being someone who takes what I call the scenic route, which is to live from your heart, right? Don't know, you might fucking fall off a cliff over here. But it's way more beautiful. It's way more thrilling. And at the end of the day, it's your unique path, right? And so I love that you were proof, that living from this, part of you, your heart, your soul is keeping you in a state where you are rising and thriving. So I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. Where does everybody get connected to you, your book, like all of it?
Thank you, Roxy. Thank you so much for this time. It's really been a lot of fun. I've truly enjoyed it, and we'll definitely do it again for sure.
Thank you.
You can connect with me on Instagram at EDS Britton. It's Eds Britton. Those are my 3 first initials, Eben Daniel Smith Britton. A lot of people think my name is Ed because of that, but somehow E Britton wasn't available. Eben Britton, I don't know how it ended up on EDS Britton, but that's my Instagram. Pretty much everything I have is there. You can check out my website, ebenbritton.com. You can definitely get my book and the link in my bio on Instagram. Check me out on TikTok. That's been going really well just because I have a great TikTok guy. That's about it. Be on the lookout. I post pretty frequently about events that I'm teaching at.
You got one coming up, right?
One coming up in Austin, October 13th to 15th. That's with my good friends at Runga.
Okay.
Gathering, Austin, Texas, at this incredible property there in Hill Country. It's like just awesome.
Amazing.
Really awesome stuff. Yoga, breathwork, ice tubs.
I'll link it.
Crazy technology. Yeah, I'll be sure to send you all that stuff so you can post it. But yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. In November, I'll come. I'll make it to that next event.
Yes.
Yeah.
November is the next one that I'm putting on myself. November 5 and 6. That'll be with my mom, who's
amazing.
A profound yogic master herself. So
amazing.
That's where it all comes from. I mean, I can't take credit for any of it really, but
I love it.
She put
Respect
me on a long time ago.
That's so awesome. Well, cool. I'm looking forward to that. And so
awesome,
much
Roxy.
and everything else you're sharing. So thank you. I want to say feel better, but I know that is what's happening. I hope you find a fucking awesome rug, and I will talk to you soon.
Sounds good, Roxy.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode, you guys. If you loved it, please share it on your social. Throw it up on your Instagram stories and tag me. I'm at Black Belt Beauty. I am also at Roxy Look, RoxyLook. I love connecting with you guys. This is a conversation that I want to just continue growing with you guys. So if you feel inspired to hit me up, do so in that space. I always enjoy hearing from you. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by rating it and reviewing it via iTunes. It's such supportive help, you guys. It really helps the visibility of this podcast. So I appreciate and thank you in advance for doing that. And on that note, you guys, I'm signing off with all my love and always looking forward to catching you on the next.